Hi, my name is Navina Shine, and I'm the founder of Living on Light. So in this Living on Light experiment, we want to demonstrate that it's possible for a human being to thrive without the need to ingest food into the physical body. We suggest that the human body, mind, spirit has an already installed system that enables us to thrive without eating. We don't yet know what the system is, or even if there is really such a system, so we are calling it by the symbolic designation of light. I am the subject of the internet-based experiment designed to test this possibility, and I am undertaking to go without food in a controlled environment for a period of 4 to 6 months, and I'm inviting you to come to livingonlight.com to be the observers and the judges. I would love you to share in what promises to be the greatest discovery that the human race has ever made. I've talked in another YouTube video about what it is. Now I want to share with you how the idea came about. So let me tell you what happened for me. My life has always been inspired through what essentially are spiritual questions of what is truth, what is freedom, what is reality, and who am I? And these inquiries have led to a pretty adventurous life for me. However, last September 2012, by the time I had almost reached the age of 65, everything seemed complete in my life. Been there, done that. I'd travelled everywhere I'd wanted to go, done everything I'd wanted to do, and mostly had a pretty good time doing it. I had no personal goals or ambitions that I was interested in for the future, and I was pretty done with the past. So I deliberately created a huge break in my life, just as I'd done several times before. It was also close to the end of the Mayan calendar, and I was expecting huge endings, beginnings, and transformations. I finished everything, got rid of most of my possessions, said au revoir to everyone, and headed out on the road with no thought for the future. I decided I was just going to travel to lots of fun places and put this question out to the universe. What's next for me? What is it that Spirit wants of me? I've done everything I've wanted to do. What does the universe want now? What's next? I hold the spiritual paradigm that all energy is one, and I, and you, and everything else is a unity. My little programmed body-mind system, including the personality of me, might not know what the whole wants or needs, but I, as existence, know everything. All I had to do was to wait for an answer, and that would arise within the body-mind personality system. So, all by myself, in my little van, I went traveling. I drove across Canada, through the Rockies, through the plains, the Great Lakes. I spent about 6 weeks traveling all the way down the west coast of the USA to the east coast. I wasn't thinking about what to do next, because I tend to simply trust existence and that the right thing will show up at the right time. So the calling from existence arose as I was reaching Boston, Massachusetts in October 2012. It started to arise as the winds of Hurricane Sandy were arising in the south, both very powerful in their own way, both wake-up calls to how we live on this planet. I had heard about people living on light ever since I was a teenager. I'd actually met someone when I first came to America who said that all they had to eat was an orange, one orange every day. That was all they had. In those days, and of course in these days too, people who claim to do this are called breatharians. They say they live on light air, and they usually use some kind of breathing technique or a certain spiritual way of living that they attribute to the fact that they can live without eating. There are also people who call themselves sun gazers. They have this way of looking at the sun which you have to do very, very slowly and carefully because you can blind yourself. And they say they get their nourishment from whatever it is that the sun is offering, or whatever it is that the air is offering. I'm calling this sustenance light. I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to say that they are living on light. So these people say they're doing that. And throughout history, there have been many people who say they live on light. In fact, Jasmine, she's the world authority of living on light, claims that there are something like 40,000 people who do this right now. Of course, the big problem is that nobody believes it. These amazing people live on light. They spend their whole lives, or they spend weeks or months or years, sometimes decades without eating. And nobody believes them. I mean, how can you believe a thing like that? I sure can't. And I can't expect anybody else to believe it either. Also, there are charlatans. So you really do have to be careful. So how do you prove it? Well, the only person who knows if they're really doing it is the person themselves. Other people will just say, oh, they're cheating. And some people are. So as the memory came back to me, I thought to myself, that's really interesting. I wonder if it's true. I wonder if I could do that. And so the idea started to form. Well, maybe I could just stop eating, live on light, and see what happens. Well, I could have stopped there, done it just for myself, and that would have been fine. No one else would have known, except for those I told, and they wouldn't have been able to believe me either. Also, it would not have made any difference to anything. And somehow, making a difference had to be part of this. When I later realized how amazingly powerful this paradigm is, that made a lot more sense. So I thought, you know what? Maybe I could do this as an experiment, where I can engage in or be part of an experiment in a university. Universities have the kudos, the facilities, the methodology, and the funds to do this kind of thing. I could just be a subject in the experiment, then I could do it too. Well, it didn't take me long to find out that nobody did this. Nobody. It took me a little longer to realize that nobody could do this. Because if you look through the eyes of modern medicine and modern paradigms, living on light does not show up in that world. It simply can't be seen. Nobody can understand that a person could live on light. It's a whole new paradigm. Well, what to do now, I thought. Then I remembered something. I remember that when the internet first started, there was this woman who had a camera. She put it on her computer. She simply lived in her room and just lived her normal life. Nothing special. And I found out that thousands of people tuned in to see her do that. I couldn't see why that would happen, but it did. And I realized then that the internet would be the way to do this. So I let the idea germinate, get bigger and bigger with each new understanding. And after about a month, this idea was almost fully formed in my mind that, wow, I could do this on the internet. Just do it myself, put it out, let everybody see it, and then people would know if it's true, if it really is true or not. If people have the opportunity to see this, to watch every moment if they want to, not that you're going to, but between the millions of people that could tune in at every single moment, the whole time would be covered. And the whole thing could be recorded, so it would be archived and looked back on and checked on. Then the rest of the world, every individual on this planet, would have sufficient evidence for them individually to say, yes, this happened. That's all that's needed to change everything on this planet. The science can come later. And the more I thought about this and the impact of what it really could have on the whole of humanity, I began to ask myself, how could I not do this? How could I not? To know something of such vast importance and not say anything would literally be a crime against humanity. This living on light can actually save the world. So from then on, my whole life has been about getting this on the internet, getting it together. I had two wonderful friends who came and together, and the three of us just did it. It was massive. I don't know how we did it. I think there has to be a higher source doing this, because we as three sets of individuals probably couldn't have done it. So all of us involved in this living on light endeavor are coming from this spiritual place of bringing into the universe something which the universe or existence really needs to happen in this world. It might start slowly at first, of course it has to. Yet once we get it, that humanity does not have to destroy the planet in order to thrive, we can do things so vastly different on this planet. Also, what's actually even more important to me, and I think to the universe, is that the consciousness itself will change on our planet. Once this is opened up and people suddenly realize that, wow, humans are capable of this, then we have to ask ourselves the question, what else are we capable of? Maybe it's time to come into our full power and full of awareness of what is possible for us and our universe. Thank you. See you at livingonlight.co.